During the NFL offseason, you are quite likely to hear a whole bunch of rumors pertaining to certain players on what they may or may not be doing. Well, for this episode today, we're going to be talking about a recent trade rumor that could have the Lions bringing in a very interesting piece. We're going to talk about it in this episode, folks, so stay tuned.
What are we? What makes us what we are and what we're going to be? It's grit. It's what we started with last year, guys. Doesn't matter if you have one ass cheek and three toes. I will beat your ass.
Can definitely compete with the big dogs.
10-5 end zone touchdown Detroit Lions.
You guys are unbelievable, man. I'm telling you.
We are driven by Detroit.
Hello, Detroit Lions fans, and welcome on back to yet another episode of MCM Motor City Mania. I'm your host, David T. Pike, and with that, we're diving on in. I know I said I was only doing 2 episodes today, but this news just came across, and you know what? I really wanted to talk about it because I gotta be honest. Whenever I hear about potential trade rumors, my ears always kind of percolate. They always kind of, perk up and are like, okay, I kind of want to hear what this is about. And the reason why is because sometimes trade rumors, I think, are actually somewhat a little bit based in reality. Sometimes they're a little bit, filled with merit. On the other hand, though, there are some times when trade rumors are absolutely ludicrous. They're laughable. And quite frankly, they have absolutely no basis in reality. And that's what we're going to talk about for today's episode. We're going to talk about a trade proposal that has been connected to the Lions from an analyst, and it was pushed out on Twitter. I'm going to try and find the tweets so that way you guys can see this. But pretty much the basis of the trade proposal is that the Detroit Lions would trade for 49ers wide receiver Brandon Ayuk, and in return, the Lions would give up Jameson Williams and a first-round draft pick in order to obtain the rights to Brandon Ayuk. Now, I'm just going to say this right now. While as far as what that could provide the Lions is a tantalizing prospect, I got to say this. It is a very unrealistic, it is a very unwise, and it is a very dangerous trade proposal because let's first and foremost just understand something here. The Lions are not the type of team that are going to make decisions lightly. Number one, first and foremost. Brad Holmes, Dan Campbell, they do not make any decision lightly. Number two, we have not seen the Lions yet really trade for what I would consider a superstar player ever since the Jared Goff trade. Because when that was happening, that was the big trade that started everything for the freaking, Lions now team that they have right now. Because without that trade, you don't have the draft picks. Without that trade, you don't have your quarterback that you have right now. And regardless of what people want to say, Jared Goff is one of the best quarterbacks in the league. So I consider him up there as one of the best players in the league. And the fact that he was on the top 100 players last year of the NFL, I think he was ranked 66 out of 100, that right there tells me that even Jared Goff's peers consider him one of the best players in the league. So if you're one of the top 100 players, I would consider you a superstar at that point. Now, what varying degree of superstar, you can argue about that, and you can split that down to the freaking microfilaments of a hair if you want to. But the point of the matter is, that's the whole point. Ever since that trade, the Lions have not really been very active in trying to trade for big-name players. Trading for Carlton Davis, he's a solid cornerback. He's a guy that, hey, you bring in, he's going to provide solid coverage. But he's not a superstar player. He's not a guy that everybody's going to instantly recognize as soon as he's traded for. But Brandon Ayuk, on the other hand, Brandon Ayuk is pretty damn close to a superstar at this point. The guy's had 2 1,000-yard receiving seasons over the last 2 years. He's looking for a contract that pays at a superstar level. So it's like, okay, this would be a big, big trade if the Lions were to try and facilitate it. And I just don't see the Lions doing something like that because the Lions are smart. They're smart on multiple levels. And trading for Brandon Ayuk, I'm just going to tell you this right now, it's not smart. Here's the reason why. First and foremost here, let's take a look at Brandon Ayuk as far as what he has done since he got in the league. Because Brandon Ayuk has been in the league now for 4 years. He's going on his 5th one this year. In 4 years of production, Brandon Ayuk has caught 269 passes. He has 3,931 yards, 25 touchdown receptions, and he's played in 62 games. Now, that in of itself sounds like pretty okay numbers. It's not like, he's, going out there and just putting on a wow factor every single season. But like I said, the last 2 seasons that he's been with the 49ers, he's put up 1,000-yard plus seasons. Now let's take a look at Amon-Ra St. Brown here. Amon-Ra St. Brown has been in the league now, pardon me, I had a frog in my throat there. Amon-Ra St. Brown has been in the league for 3 years. In the 3 years that he's played, going now into his 4th year, Amon-Ra St. Brown has 315 receptions. He has 3,588 yards. He has 21 touchdowns. Amon-Ra St. Brown, however, accomplished that in 49 games. Now, why am I bringing this up? The reason why I'm bringing this up is because we're going to talk about it in just a moment here. But I wanted you guys to get that comparison as far as full body of work between St. Brown and Ayuk. Now think about this. Brandon Ayuk, what was his best season in the NFL? It was honestly last year. Last year with the 49ers, when they went to the Super Bowl and they lost to the Chiefs, he had 75 receptions, 1,342 yards, 17.9 an average catch for 7 touchdowns. Played in 16 games, he missed one, or was sat for one, whatever the case might be. Then you take a look at Amon-Ra St. Brown. Obviously, all Lions fans know his number, but for those that don't, I'm just going to put them up instead. 119 receptions, 1,515 yards, 12.7 an average a catch for 10 touchdowns. And again, in 16 games. So let's just put this in perspective here. Amon-Ra St. Brown has played less games over the total of his career, yet he has more receptions, almost the same amount of yards and touchdowns as far as career statistics. Then when you take a look at the two players' best seasons combined, Amon-Ra St. Brown in his best season easily doubled almost what freaking Ayuk did. He has 200 almost more, receiving yards. And he has 3 more receiving touchdowns. The only thing that Ayuk did better than St. Brown was the receiving average. Now, when you take a look at those two comparisons that I just brought up, the reason why I'm comparing Brandon Ayuk to St. Brown is because St. Brown's contract is figuring in very heavily with why Brandon Ayuk is now being considered a trade target. The reason why is because the 49ers have been trying to get Brandon Ayuk to sign a contract extension. But the problem is that Brandon Ayuk is looking for a pretty damn big payday. The rumor is that the 49ers supposedly offered Brandon Ayuk a $26 million on average a year contract. That would be $4 million less than what Amon-Ra St. Brown got from the Detroit Lions. So think about it. Ayuk gets a $26 million on average a year contract, supposedly. Again, there's no proof of this, it's just rumored. Think about that. He turns that down. That tells me right off the bat that what Brandon Ayuk is looking for is a contract between what Amon-Ra St. Brown got from the Lions and what Justin Jefferson got from the Minnesota Vikings. Because once Amon-Ra St. Brown signed his contract, it wasn't too much longer after that the Vikings announced that they had signed Justin Jefferson to a new mega deals contract, which in essence gave him money like a quarterback, even though he's a non-quarterback position. He's a wide receiver. So think about it. Brandon Ayuk is looking for a deal somewhere probably in between those two players. The reason why that is a problem for me is because, well, let's understand something here. While Ayuk is a good player, I don't look at Ayuk being the same kind of player that Amon-Ra St. Brown is. The reason I say that is this. Amon-Ra St. Brown is a difference maker within the Detroit Lions offense. He has been a difference maker in the Detroit Lions offense since day damn one almost. What's been up with Brandon Ayuk? Brandon Ayuk, even though he started to catch on within the last 2 years, he's always played second fiddle to Deebo Samuel. The reason why I don't want to pay Brandon Ayuk that kind of money is because it's like, dude, if you're not going to be the leading number one wide receiver, I'm not going to pay you leading wide receiver number one money. You're going to get number two wide receiver money. So it's like, if you're going to turn down $26 million a year to be the number two guy in San Francisco, and if we were to make the trade to come here to Detroit, you'd still be the number two guy. I'm not going to pay you more than Amon-Ra St. Brown. Ain't no chance in hell. And the reason why I think that people are looking at this trade as a potential out for the Lions, or a potential option for the Lions, not an out, that was a wrong phrase, is because they're like, okay, Brandon Ayuk, like I said, over the last 2 years, he's become established as a good receiver in the NFL. Jamison Williams, on their hand, has not yet established himself. He doesn't have a resume really yet. We know he's fast. We know that so far in the offseason, he's really starting to show out. He's really starting to flash a lot more. But there's not much on paper, there's not much on film yet that gives him the same kind of credibility that Ayuk has in the NFL right now. He hasn't produced as much. Plus, on top of that, the Lions already have an out with Jamison Williams' contract because of the gambling violation that he got a year or so ago. Because I think all of the guaranteed money or whatever got, stripped from his contract due to that violation. So the financial constraints of Jamison Williams' contract are not nearly as dire or grave if the Lions were to move off of him and decide to go with Brandon Ayuk. Well, here's the problem. Here's why again, there's a couple of reasons why I don't like this trade option. But I will say this, I can also see why some people would look at this and be like, hey, this could actually work. Here's the reason why I think there are some pros to this deal. First and foremost, obviously Brandon Ayuk is an experienced veteran in the West Coast offense. The Lions run a West Coast offense. Their offense is very much rooted in what, Shanahan, McVay, and all the rest of those guys run because Ben Johnson runs that offense. That's what Jared Goff goes with. So it's like, hey, if Brandon Ayuk were to come in, all it would really have to change for him to learn the offense is just learn the terminology. It's pretty much all the same basic concepts. But the other reason I think a lot of people like this deal is because they're just thinking on the freaking surface of this that if you paired Brandon Ayuk with Amon-Ra St. Brown, it would give the Lions a doomsday offense. Because let's realistically think about it. Brandon Ayuk, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Sam Laporta, Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery, our offensive line, and Jared Goff. Holy hell in a handbasket. Good luck trying to stop something like that. That is an offense that literally would scare the ever-living pants off of almost any defense. But that's about where the pros to a deal like this end for me. And that's realistically where I think the pros for just about anybody should end. Because what are the cons to a deal like this? Well, let's think about it. The first con that I can think of is the loss of a first-round draft pick for the Detroit Lions. We have to consider Brad Holmes' record ever since he started drafting players for the Detroit Lions. The only first-round draft pick that really hasn't produced anything for the Lions yet is Jamison Williams. Let's think about it. Penei Sewell, Pro Bowl, All-Pro player. Aiden Hutchinson, Pro Bowl player. Jahmyr Gibbs, Pro Bowl, All-Pro player. You take a look at Jack Campbell. He didn't make a Pro Bowl or anything like that, but he had a decently solid first year, and he's looking like he's going to have a much better year his second year. So it's like, you take a look at Brad Holmes' draft record with first-round draft picks, I would not just trade away a first-round draft pick so willy-nilly. Number two, the contract. I know the Lions have spent a lot of money this offseason. We've spent, close to $630, $650 million in new money this offseason going into the future? Okay, I get that. And the Lions do have a lot of salary cap still left on the books. They have near $40 million worth of salary cap. But there's a problem. We still have guys on our roster that we have to feed. We still got to find a way to sign Aleem McNeil. Taylor Decker is looking for a new contract. We got to pay Aiden Hutchinson here before too long. It makes no sense to hand out a massive contract to a guy to another ball club that you've not played with yet when you've got guys on your own team that need to be fed. They need to be given their due diligence. So that to me makes no sense. Then you have to think about it further from that perspective. It's contrary to the team philosophy. What have Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell said since day one? They are always going to take care of their guys first. If you come in, you put in the work, you do your time, you do what's asked of you, you're going to be taken care of. That's why the Lions gave the contracts they gave this offseason, to prove that that is exactly what they do, that they're men of their word. It would all of a sudden go completely opposite of that if they go out and make a trade for Brandon Ayuk and instantly hand him a contract when he hasn't even taken a damn snap in Honolulu blue and silver. That would instantly leave a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths, even if it was to try and improve the roster. Then you have to think about this. He doesn't fit culturally. I'm sorry, but I could have not put this argument in there up until Brandon Ayuk said, because apparently he got on TikTok or whatever social media platform, started talking to his ex-quarterback from college, Jaden Daniels, who's now the quarterback for the Washington Commanders, and said, the freaking San Francisco 49ers, they don't want me. He's in essence trying to tell Jaden Daniels, hey, they don't want me. You should come and get me. I'm sorry. You want to know what that tells me? That's childish. That's selfish. That right there is the wrong message to send, especially if you believe the rumors that the 49ers offered him a $26 million contract on average. I'm sorry. You don't offer somebody $26 million and say, yeah, they don't want me. I'll take $26 million any damn day of the week, and I'll be happy as a you-know-what. I'll be happy as a freaking flea on a dog. I'll be happy as a pig in crap. Because I can live my entire life off of $26 million, even if Federal Sam, Uncle Sam taxes the ever-living hell out of it. I would be happy as a clam. So you're going to try and tell me that $26 million on average a year, not the total length of the deal, a year is not enough for you, Brandon Ayuk. There's a problem. Then you have to think about this too. Jameson Williams is about to start checking in, and folks, I'm sorry, but think about it. Jameson Williams, we've been hearing all the reports out of minicamp OTAs. He's bulked up. He's starting to look a lot more comfortable in his role as the wide receiver number 2. Him and Jared Goff are getting a lot more further on the same page, and we're already hearing about how, he's starting to expand his route tree. He's starting to get a lot better running his routes. His hands are getting better. So for me, it's like, why would you trade away Jameson Williams, whose contract is very, very manageable right now, and is looking like he's about to have a breakout year, for a guy that's easily going to want what Amon-Ra St. Brown is making, and then some, and he's not even going to be the number 1 wide receiver. He's going to be the number 2 wide receiver. No dice, my friend. Not going to happen. And then number 3, like I just said, but I'm going to further expand upon it. Jared Goff has already built a rapport with Jameson Williams. Jared Goff is, in my opinion, one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL in developing wide receivers. Take a look at his track record. He developed Cooper Kupp. He developed Josh Reynolds. He developed Amon-Ra St. Brown. He's developed Sam Laporta. He's about to show what he can do with Jameson Williams. But that still takes time. You can't just all of a sudden take Jameson Williams out of the equation, throw Brandon Ayuk in there, and say, hey, you guys literally have 2 months to try and figure it out, then you have to go out and play professional football. Can it happen? Yeah, it could. But is it going to be pretty? Is it going to be smooth? Probably not. It's probably going to have a couple of bumps in the road. And as much as acquiring Brandon Ayuk would be a very tantalizing offense to potentially envision, we need somebody that can come in right now and play the type of offense that Ben Johnson and Jared Goff run without any sort of hiccups. So my whole point is this. You already have a player in Jameson Williams that has the ability to be very special. Why in the hell would you jeopardize throwing that away when, again, manageable contract, looks like he's about to break out for a guy that's bad-mouthing his own team, saying they don't want him, has reportedly, rejected a contract of $26 million on average a year, and on top of that, to sweeten the deal for the 49ers, a team that right now is trying to win a Super Bowl, is a direct rival of ours, you would hand them another first-round draft pick. I'm sorry, but to the person who thinks that this is a good idea, to the person that actually gave this as a suggestion, this is purely just absolute craziness. The Lions are not going to give direct competition to the Super Bowl seat another first-round draft pick. Ain't no way, ain't no how. So to me, this is, like I said, both an unwise trade proposal, but it is very extremely dangerous. I don't see any way why the Lions would even try and remotely entertain this option. It's a great fantasy idea if you want to live in La La Land, if you want to be a Delulu kind of person. But other than that, nobody should take this serious. But having said that, I'm going to end the episode here, and I just want to say thank you all for watching in another episode of MCM Motor City Mania. If you like what you saw, by all means, highly encourage y'all to watch the next episode. Also encourage y'all to do one of these three things: like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. If by chance you subscribed in the past, forgot to do so at the time, or you just subscribed and not had a chance to do so, again, highly encourage y'all to subscribe. But I also encourage y'all, please, make sure you hit that bell notification icon as well, so that way you guys never miss any more content that I push out. Also encourage y'all, please, to make sure that you share the content with your Lions friends and family members. Share it here on YouTube, share it on Twitter, share it on Facebook, share it anywhere and everywhere you can. I don't care where the hell you share it, just share it so that way the channel has a better reach, a better spreading effect, so that way we can get more people into the channel. And with that, I just want to say to everybody, hope you all enjoyed the content. Hope that everything in your life is going well. Hope you got something that makes you happy, makes you smile. God bless, and until the next time we meet, I'll see you all in the next episode.